Welcome to UIC Liberty TV, another Friday morning. And again, thank you for sharing with us. If you're joining us for the first time, UIC Liberty TV is here to give you information as to what is going on in the UIC. This program specifically is Town Cry, and I'm your host, Winston Wright. And I am your Town Cry, crying out on your behalf. Now, this morning, I have a nice show for you. Last week we spoke about knowing your rights, and I'm going to show you UIC at work trying to defend those rights, crying out because the system that you pay for, is broken. And there's a way to fix it, which is us, UIC. So I'm going to show you how it's broken, so you can decide that you're right and it needs fixing now. But before we go any further, I'm going to ask you too, whether you're on any of our social media platforms, to like, subscribe, share the link, have somebody else informed as to what is going on, and ask them to share. Gonna spread that message. So again, thank you for spending your Friday morning with me, with your town crier, crying out. Now, for me, rights were hard fought and won by our ancestors in this land of slavery long ago. And even though the system looked like it has changed, very little has changed. The economic structure is still designed to keep us enslaved and to keep us shackled as mental slaves. Now, right now, we are in what is being reported to be a major pandemic. Now, there's no doubt that there's a disease going around making people ill. As for its classification as a major pandemic, I would like some more clarity on that. But let's talk about your rights. Firstly, the government has said that it's taking certain actions that UIC believes is deleterious to the local economy, meaning it's going to damage the economy, which it has. There's lots of people out of work right now, lots of people in need of help. The government has given out one tier payment for everyone, and I'm sure that money has run out by now. And we are struggling to get by. So, and even the government, if you look at the revision to the estimate of expenditure, that's the government budget, how they plan to spend our tax dollars, money that they borrow, lot of it, lots of it in our name, how they plan to spend it. They revise that a couple of times because they need to figure out where to get money from to pay for all these freeness that they like to give away. Okay, and again, it's not free. They might tell you that it's free, but you're paying for it somehow, especially those of us who work in the formal economy. Okay, those of us who aren't super rich and dodging taxes, and those of us who are very poor and earn nothing at all, little to nothing at all. So the guys in the middle income guys, you get to carry that burden, that $2 trillion debt burden on your kids, your kids. So that money has run out, and the government continues with curfews that curtail businesses, etc. And I see this as part of their overall plan to help them fight crime by restricting movements, because they have no real answer to that. So the government has said recently in their latest disaster management order that persons should not gather in certain amounts to prevent the spread of the virus, etc., along with all the other measures that they have outlined. What the UIC has consistently said is that the government should cease politicizing the response to the disease, should cease hogging the glory, the limelight, getting in front of the cameras and giving the pretense, I say pretense, that they're hard at work. Because what they have done is adopted a response, a blueprint from Europe, the Americas, and the rest of the world that is suffering immensely from what is going on, and then use it here. But one size doesn't fit all. One bandage doesn't cover every sore. Our sore is very particular. One, our economy is a very service sensitive economy because of how it is being managed. And of course, right now with lockdowns overseas and travel advisories and test requirements, that is expected to continue to sink us deeper into the depths of unproductivity, debt, and even despair. But I'm not here to paint a bleak picture. What I'm here to say to you is this: there or other things going on. So the government is saying, okay, fine, we're gonna curfew you in your house, etc. And that can't be the case. Why? Jamaican constitution said otherwise. And the law that the government is using does not get support from the constitution. Because by limited knowledge, and I'm no lawyer and I will not purport to be a lawyer or village lawyer, my limited understanding is that the only time the government can curtail my rights, my legal rights, is in a state of emergency. And as far as I know, there are no zones of special operations, and those are something else we need to talk about. And there are no state of emergency is being declared. So therefore, there's no legal basis to curtail my rights. But yet the government under the Disaster Risk Management Act is saying you can't go where you want at a certain time. Despite the Jamaican Constitution saying I have the right to freedom of movement and restricted freedom of movement within the borders of this country as a citizen. So how does the government explain that? I needed them to explain it. But how can I get them to explain it? One, they don't sit and talk to people. Most important, this is the constitutional matter. Because I just quoted from the constitution. You go to the constitutional court. But me being a poor man, I don't have money for that. So guess what I did? I wrote a letter to the public defender. Okay, and in case you don't know, that is the Office of the Public Defender is a commission of the Jamaican Parliament, an agency of the Parliament which was set up to defend your rights, investigate, and provide legal assistance where necessary to redress wrongs, especially those committed under constitutional infringement. That's what I know. So I wrote to the public defender on November 27th, 2020, and I'm going to read the letter. Attention, Mrs. Arlene Harrison Henry, United Independence Congress being a duly registered entity in Jamaica, and in my capacity as a member of this body and a citizen of this country, wish to draw to the attention of your office, a violation of my constitutional rights and that of every Jamaican. In an address to Parliament, the Prime Minister, Right Honorable Andrew Holness, gave verbal indication that the disaster risk management orders will be amended to, among other things, prohibit gathering in public and private of more than 15 persons. He also gave effect, as required, to have this information transmitted in multiple national circulating newspaper. So this is what the law requires in the disaster risk management order. That once the Prime Minister give proper notice to the country, including in a nationally circulating newspaper, of an amendment to the disaster risk management order, it comes into effect. Yeah, my turn. But you get the gist. So let me continue with the last two paragraphs. And the strength of Chapter 3 of the Jamaican Constitution guarantee my right to peaceful assembly, association, and which also guarantees these rights states that if any law is inconsistent with this constitution shall prevail, and the other law, to the extent of inconsistency, be voided. I therefore seek your intervention in this matter, and I enclose my details. So this is my complaint to the Office of the Public Defender to say that the government has no right to tell me that I can't leave my house or I can't gather in groups of 50 or more because of disaster risk management act. Because there's a state of emergency which suspends part of my constitutional rights based on the law of the land. And just to be clear, I don't agree with this constitution that we get from Her Royal Majesty. Right? My former, this the enslaver of my ancestors. So the UIC intends to overhaul the Jamaican Constitution, to make Jamaica a constitutional republic, fully beholden unto its people, and where representation is not by a select few and for a select few. It is by everyone for everyone, a true constitutional republic. So, good thing that after the public defender's office gets such a powerful letter attached in email, they will hasten to respond to assure a citizen, a tax-paying citizen, that one, we will look into this matter and get back to you. Right? Now, when I wrote to the public defender, It took several phone calls before they would even acknowledge my email in writing. Several phone calls. Now, this is their acknowledgement on November 20. No, that's when I sent the email to them to let them with the attached letter. Their acknowledgement came on December 2nd, 2020. And because I called and accused them of giving me the runaround, I got two acknowledgement of my email. Okay, the first one came in from the general email, and the second one came in from an actual member of the office. And I got those responses on December 2nd. Right. So I got those responses on December 2nd. But after that, nothing. They just acknowledged the email to say, it was grateful to confirm the receipt of your email. So anyway, so they got my email. And after calling, they responded. Went on, and the OPD didn't hear anything from them after the acknowledgement. And of course, there are several calls between them and I over the period again to see if I can figure out what's going on. As usual, I got the runaround. And I keep asking them, why do they need to give me the runaround? So at one point I wrote again to ask, and I called again to ask about it. This was on December 24th. So on December 24th when I called, I finally got someone I spoke to, a nice gentleman in the office who defended why there was no response and offered to look into it. He said he didn't see my email, couldn't fault him. So I sent him another copy of the email. But lo and behold, he was one of the persons who acknowledged my email in the first instance. Remember when I told you I got two acknowledgement? He was one of the persons who acknowledged the email. So that's now water under the bridge, and then looking forward, moving ahead and understanding legally what is going on with my rights. Because after the public defender is on the case, I paid taxes, so they're going to take care of this matter for me. So now he sent me an email on it, and I'm trying to find the email to read it for you because I want to make sure I get all of that, right? All of that for you so you understand exactly what is going on. So that was my confirmation email, and I wrote to them, Dear Mrs. Harrison Henry, an email and the caption matter was directed to your office, but there has been no acknowledgement of receipt. Neither was your receptionist able to confirm same when I telephoned as a follow-up on Tuesday, December 1st, 2020. So, and there's more because they keep promising follow-up and they didn't follow up. So, anyway. So here's another email exchange between them and I. Thank you for your response and guidance. So this is on December 4th when they indicate that they're gonna get back to me. Right? We had this email exchange. And he wrote, item 6, Dear Mr. Wright, you have seen the complaint in your email correspondence and have considered the gravamen of it. Having regard to circumstances surrounding the imposition under the Disaster Risk Management Act, believe that this is a matter which you have to challenge in court. It is not likely that any investigation by the public defender would bring you the redress you seek. Right? So they say take it to court. And what the public defender is supposed to do, investigate or litigate. So since they can't investigate, they should litigate. So he's saying they can't bring me redress. So when I saw that, I was disappointed because that wasn't clear. So I called. And they said, well, you know, we can litigate it, but let's figure it out. I said, tell you what, let me write to you so you have it officially. And I wrote, Dear such and such, thank you for your response and guidance for the deliberations of your office. Please be advised that I wish to avail myself, and I have in bracket, in furtherance of this matter, close bracket, of the OPD's ability to use its powers and resources to make legal counsel available, since this is a matter that can only be resolved via the court system. So I've now asked them to take the matter to court. What am I asking them to go to court with? Go to the court and clarify if the Prime Minister has the right to curtail my constitutional right to freedom of movement, freedom of association, and peaceful assembly as guaranteed under the Constitution, bearing in mind that the Constitution says that if any law is inconsistent with the Constitution, as so far as that law is inconsistent with the Constitution shall prevail, or that law is voided, that part of the law is voided. So I don't understand. The Constitution even went further to say that the state or no organ of the state can create any law that abrogates one's constitutional rights. In other words, shorten or remove one's constitutional rights. So the public defender is on the case, right? They're gonna look into why the government is doing that and figure it out. I've just given them instruction to take it to court. In a Jamaican citizen taxpayer that pays into their coffers, and later on I'll show you how much money you have paid them to do this. So I just told him to take it to court. So let's see what he does with that. Okay. Now that I've said him to take him to court, he said, this matter will be brought to the attention of the public defender for her discussion. Now, guess what? When I first sent the letter and called when I didn't hear anything, they told me that it was brought to the attention of the public defender. So I would assume that the matter was already at the public defender's desk. But guess what? Somebody just accused the government of violating their constitutional rights. And you know the circumstance in the country because you live in the country. You know there's a quote-unquote pandemic going on, a disease which is considered serious. And the government is using these measures or purporting to use these measures to help contain the spread. So that is the case. Why wouldn't you get on your phone and say to the government, you know, there's someone saying that you're violating your constitutional rights because you haven't done this properly. What can you do in the law? Or if this matter proves unconstitutional, let us start formal dialogue between you and your accuser to get this matter resolved. But guess what? Let's see what they have to say about that. Okay, so the matter has gone to the public defender. Okay, and we are waiting on the public defender to respond. Guess what? The public defender did respond, and I'm going to read that response for you. And I hope you're ready to hear this. Remember, even though I'm complaining about my rights, it affects you, your bar, your corner shop, your barber shop, your grocery shop, your gas station, your taxi. It does not affect the big businessman because they have other things available to them. It affects you, the hotel worker. It affects you, the tradesman. It affects you, the construction worker. You, the domestic custodian. It affects all the small man. So let's hear what the public defender is going to do to defend your constitutional rights. So on January 7th, the response came to me, and it reads, your complaint has been studied in its entirety by the Office of the Public Defender, in its entirety. Your request for legal counsel to be made available to you is noted. So they understood. All right, we're getting somewhere. This is to inform you that while there is factual merit to your complaint, wow, factual merit. Okay, that we're getting somewhere. So there is factual merit. So in other words, the Constitution did say those things. Wow, okay. People, that's the UIC working for you right there. But let's finish this. It's not a long letter, but there's stuff here. Right, so factual merit to your complaint. Your prospects of success in court is not particularly inspiring. Not particularly inspiring, but the Constitution is clear. What kind of inspiration is needed to ask the court to clarify my rights? There's no inspiration needed, just aspiration. Just go and do it. I paid for it anyway. All right, then they're probably just telling me something. So let me read further. As a matter of law, Section 13 of the Constitution, as construed, will pose a major obstacle for you. But Section 13 of the Constitution was what I just told you. And it started by the state or no organ of the state, yada, 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 yada. I just said that. You can just go back to that. Right? And it ends by saying, where a law is inconsistent with this constitution. We're so far as the law is inconsistent with the constitution. Yada, 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 yada. That's section 13. So, but anyway, I probably missed something, so let me read the other part. In the circumstances, the public defender has taken the decision. Public defender has taken the decision. Not me, the citizen that paid the bill. Public defender. But let's hear what decision the public defender has made. For me, her employer. The public defender has taken the decision not to engage in funding your proposed, intended, or expected litigation, as in lawsuit, from the already limited budget at the office's disposal. So I hired the public defender with my taxes. So she worked for me, and I've given her office instruction to clarify a very important legal matter that is affecting many Jamaicans. There's a lot of people here on the news that have been brought to court and fined tons of money for breaching the Disaster Risk Management Act. So if I am right and their constitutional rights are being violated, why is the public defender screaming that they can't act because their budget is limited, so they have taken a decision despite me, their employer, telling them something else? Does that sound like somebody who is willing to defend your rights? I'll let you decide. I'm just asking and reading. But the UIC knows how to defend your rights and stand ready. Oh, well, let the town crier keep crying. All right, so my employee that defended my rights. And if you had an employee that wasn't doing what you tell them, you would fire them, wouldn't you? Okay, now how do you fire the public defender? But she works for her office comes out of the government sector. How do you not fire the government? Now, how do you do that? You, as a citizen, you can't do that either. Parliament has to fire the government. But guess what? They're all colluding. Parliament elected the Prime Minister to represent them, being the most popular among them based on how the Constitution is set up. Something wrong with that, right? Flawed, right? So doesn't it sound like we need a new constitution, as I have said? Doesn't it need a constitution that gives the people the power they deserve after decades, hundreds of years of slavery? Think about it. But again, the UIC has said on our website, uicjamaica.com, turning Jamaica into a constitutional republic is our number one aim. The constitutional republic will return the rights to you to recall any government official that does not perform the standard. So the public defender telling me, during the UIC government, that they won't defend my rights is wrong. So this person, bear that in mind. UICJamaica.com. You're on all the social media platforms. Log on, subscribe, like, share. Now, they did say the budget is limited, so you can probably understand a little bit of money. Government, right? Yeah. I didn't sing the song, I just a little bit of money. Now, if only I could figure out where they get the money from. Oh, I can. The government puts it out there. It's called a budget. I'm gonna find it. But, oh yeah, I have it. Budget. But tell you what, let's hear what they plan to do with the money first before I tell you how much money we gave them in 2020 and in 2021. All right. Description of heads of estimate. The Office of the Public Defender is mandated to ensure redress is secured for any member of the public. Any member of the public. I can show you my passport if you don't believe that I'm Jamaican, if my accent isn't Jamaican enough. But anyway, redress is secured for any member of the public who suffers injustice resulting from maladministration of government ministries, department, agencies, and statutory bodies. And she just said she not know nothing about it. And she's telling me while I'm giving her money that is what she's gonna do with the money. That sounds crazy, doesn't it? Am I the only one? Am I the only one that believes that this is crazy? This is absolutely nuts. She just said it. All right, let me read further. And I hope I don't go over the half an hour because I know you guys have things to do, so I don't want to keep you too long. And for those who are joining us, thank you. I forgot to do that, and forgive the tongue crier. I have not lost my manners. I'm just so caught up in reading this for you to understand how the the system does not work to empower you to give you what is yours, your rights that your ancestors fought and died for. UIC believes in giving you those rights. So join us. We have a public meeting on Sunday. It's on Zoom, and we're streaming across all our social media platforms. So if you're on Facebook, join us. YouTube, join us. Instagram, join us. Twitter, join us. Zoom, welcome you and your questions. So let's figure out what the public defender is up to when she's requesting monies, right? Vision. Vision of the department is to remain resilient, okay, big word, resolute, and professional in executing the mandate as prescribed by the Parliament of Jamaica. So if she's not willing to defend my right, that means the Parliament did mandate her to do that. Interesting. I think she has her priorities wrong. She don't work for the Parliament, she works for me and you and you and you and you and everybody that pay taxes in this lovely land. Anyway, let's find out. By the year 2030, we pledge that almost all of Jamaica will become aware of the office and that our doors will be open in other areas of the island, Jamaica. Wow, lofty ideals on paper only. That's my thought. What's yours? So there's more here about what they plan to do with the money. If you want to see this for yourself, it's on the Ministry of Finance website. Come on it. Let's cut to the money because time is going short. 2019-2020 Jamaica budget. Statement of statutory expenditure charged to the consolidated fund. Amount is in the millions. And in line 3 of that, yes, line 3, Office of the Public Defender, salary allowances of the Public Defender, 14,059,000. 14 million. And she said her budget limited. That's 2019-2020. Probably this was a one-off payment. So let me check 2020-2021 estimates of expenditure to see what is there, right? Just to see, because it could be a one-off payment. Somebody could have won the lotto and decide to she deserves big money. You understand? So no little bit of money, big money. So let's check 2020-2021. All right. Office of the Public Defender, line 3, same place again. All right, that's good. So let's cut to, they have several lines. Statutory, gross expenditure. Oh, gross expenditure, that's how much you plan to spend. So let's look at, 116,921,000. And she said she don't have no budget. I haven't earned that kind of money. And I didn't pay that amount of taxes. That means a lot of us came together and paid that money. So she can't go to court to clarify our constitutional rights and $119 million because the budget is limited. Begs you the question what that money is doing. Because I don't hear of her taking many cases to court. The Cockpit Mountain issue is going to court, that's one. And I'll tell you what, I have a better idea. I'm going to send an access to information request. That's a law that allows you to ask any public agency for information. So I'm going to send an access to information request to see how they spend the money, which lawyers they have retained, and how the budget of the year since they're coming into being has been spent. And then I'll let you know how they're spending our money. Since they're not spending it to defend the right I brought up and the right that all those people who you hear on the news that were charged for breaching the Disaster Risk Management Act and paying fines in court were faced. But let me ask the question then, why did the judge, because the judge is learned, why did the judge allow this? Why did the prosecutor allow this? Is it that government is now influencing our judiciary? Or is it that the judiciary is blind to these violations? Why didn't the judiciary seek to have it clarified? Because why didn't these people seek to have it clarified? Because they don't know, but the judiciary does know. So these are important questions you need to answer for yourselves. Do you think the judiciary is blind to the government's malfeasance? So we have a government that is acting in a roguish manner. An agency of government that has refused to hold them accountable. And a citizenry who is undecided as to how to hold them accountable. I know. That's why I do this. Know your rights. Defend, uphold, and protect those rights. Wake up, Jamaica. Know your rights. The documents are there, and I said it last week. Read. Read well. Argue amongst yourself. Learn from one another. Learn how to defend those rights. When you're talking to a policeman in the street, a border control officer at any of our ports of entry, magistrate in his or her court, know your rights. That's all I'm saying. So now, this journey will continue. The saga will continue. But know this, UIC is aware of what takes place because the government has deliberately, and I'm not talking about this government, I'm talking about the governmental system, all governments combined, have successfully and successively kept the people ignorant so they can treat them with scant regard, give us the impression that lawyers and politicians are the repository of all knowledge, legal and otherwise, in this country. Know your rights. Hold, defend, protect those rights. Thank you for spending your Friday with me. This is your Town Crier. This is Town Crier on UIC Liberty TV. I look forward to seeing you next Friday. But in the meantime, like, share, subscribe across all our social media platforms are the one you choose. And again, public meeting is on next Sunday coming, sorry. Join us. The information is on our Facebook page. Look forward to seeing you, having your questions. This is your Tone Crier signing off. And I'm putting it out there. Any legal mind that is willing to lend its support to the UIC in its cause, any true believer in the law and the rule of law and the rights of individuals, call me, hop on the UIC website, send me a message. I will be in touch forthwith, and the president and I will work with you to champion this cause for liberty. Thank you for joining us on Liberty TV. Have a good one.